Hello and welcome to a Smurd P video, and today I've just come back from MCM London Comic Con, and I went there for a couple of reasons. So one of them was Karen Ashley was on my list to get a picture with and get an autograph. Hopefully that's appeared up here, and Walter Jones autograph. So met Walter back I think 2012. But I didn't get his autograph back then, so I wanted to make sure that I got that. And then that one was another ranger off my list. The panel is very enjoyable. Lots of funny, interesting questions from the spokesman. And also some interesting questions from people, which were actually very, very, very smart questions and enjoyable as well. One of the things that I will say is, as the video goes on, my hand does get tired. Does wobble a bit, maybe a bit too much. There's also a couple of bodies that you may see once in a blue moon popping around, but I did my best. So I hope you really enjoy this panel. I really enjoyed it. Go, go Power Rangers.
Sing to me! Go, go Power Rangers! Go, go Power Rangers! Go, go Power Rangers! So once again, please remain respectful for our guests once they're up on this stage. We are going to get this panel underway right now. To the fully energy Sunday afternoon Power Rangers fans! They're back there right now. Make some noise. Get louder, get louder. But we cannot do this without our moderator, the host with the most, the master of the disaster, the king of mischief, but also the most sharply dressed man in the building, CJ!
Hello, MCM! Oh wow, there's a lot of people here. And ladies and gentlemen, how awesome is Leroy? Yeah, I love Leroy, he's so good. And he only paid me £10 to say that. Yeah, it's good. Do we have any Power Ranger fans in the house? Oh, we could do better, they are standing in the back, waiting. Do we have any Power Ranger fans in the house? That's what we like to hear. Now, before we get started, there will be an opportunity for fan questions. So just to my left here, your right, the light has just went on there is a microphone. And just over here, there is another microphone. And I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask your questions. So partway through, I will ask you to start lining up, and then we'll take it in turns and go through that. Can we do that? Yeah. Hands up, you got fan questions? Awesome, I love you guys. Shall we get this panel started? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear the most noise I've heard here all day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Walter, Stephen, Karen, your Power Rangers! These guys are awake. These guys are ready.
Yeah!
How's the weekend been? You been here 3 days?
Yes.
Tired?
Day 3, we're here. It's
We're
been
here.
great.
Yeah?
What time is it, guys?
Morphin time!
Come on, well, let's try that again. You
Everybody
ready?
know what time it is?
It's morphin time!
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was 2:30.
Yeah, it's about 2:20. Yeah. But no, how has the weekend been? Thank you for coming back, first of all. You've all keep popping up here or there, and I've never had the pleasure to chat to you guys yet, so I'm really excited. But what's it been like meeting your UK fans once again?
It's amazing. Our UK fans are so amazing. They're so sweet. They're so nice. They're so enthusiastic, and we love you guys. We really, really love you guys.
Yeah, they're all right.
Walter just doesn't care. No? You're not bothered about them?
No, you know what? I think I've been to London a few times here, and every time I come to London, I feel so welcomed. Everybody's so warm and kind and a bit cheeky. And so I have a lot of fun with you guys, and I'm just really happy to have such amazing fans.
Yeah, I like it so much I used to live here.
In London or in the UK?
Yeah, in London.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm not. I love
Up
it.
north, Northern England's the best. Any Northerners here?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's where it's at. But
Well,
what's
I've
it?
been all over though. I've lived here, so I've been all around the UK. So I've been to a lot of shows.
Now, you guys are very lucky in the fact that you get to travel all around, go to different events. Just because we're talking about fans, are there any memorable moments from meeting fans, or any from this weekend that have kind of stood out to you?
Oh yeah, well, we have fans. The thing about when we come and meet the fans, we hear the most amazing stories. Like, the show's been around for 32 years. One that's amazing is the fact that a lot of fathers who are mothers come with their kids, and now we have like 3 generations watching the show. So to see, I had a guy tell me today, I came home the other day and my son was watching the Power Rangers, but he was watching your version of the Power Rangers, and he was like, scoot over. yeah, I love this. This is my show. So I love that. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like you said, we get mom, dad, and the kids, and sometimes, we're like talking to the kids, and dad's like, hey, the autograph's for me. Get out of the way, kid. And so we're their Power Rangers, so it's really cool that they passed it down to now their kids, and they love it. And honestly, when we see you guys turn 5 years old again, so we get the best, like we're like love bombed all weekend, It's the purest love we've ever had, right?
Yeah, I'm confused. Somehow everybody got taller than me.
Right. We stopped growing in Angel Grove.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody always used to say, "Oh, I used to look up to you," and it's like, well, now I'm looking up to you.
Exactly.
Everybody's taller than us now. But yeah, you're right about that. We have bridged those generational gaps because a lot of the younger kids now are watching our stuff. I'm like, you watch our show? Like, oh yeah, you're Rocky. I'm like, wow, you guys really know your stuff. That's amazing.
I had an 11-year-old kid come up to me and go, I just want to let you know you were my childhood. And I was like, wait, how old are you? I was like,
Your childhood.
I'm like, I'm 11. I said, well, when did you start watching the show? I started watching when I was 6. And I went, oh, I guess I am part of your childhood, yeah. So that's amazing.
See, I felt really old the other day because it turns out this year, or last month, was the 30th anniversary of the Power Rangers movie.
The movie?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the movie, yes.
Yeah.
The movie
It's
is
next month.
30th.
Next month is the
Next
30th
month.
anniversary.
Yeah, and I remember, but I remember queuing outside Blockbuster before opened, waiting so I could buy a VHS tape. Does anyone remember them?
We've signed a few of those this weekend.
Yeah, quite a few.
But go on.
No, I was saying we have, yeah.
Now, I have some questions for you guys, because when I watched it when I was younger, I had a lot of questions about Power Rangers that confused me. So, I'm hoping that you can answer some of these questions.
We'll try.
Okay, so, and I've got a list. I sat down thinking, what have I always wanted to ask the Power Rangers? So help me out. So, why don't the Power Rangers just go straight to the Megazord and stamp on the baddies? Now, I know you're only allowed to fight when they escalate, but they always escalate. So why don't you just jump in the Megazord and just stamp, get it over with?
End it, just like say, oh,
Yeah.
the buddies are here, let's just squash them.
I mean, like, we make it a fair fight. You don't jump in the Megazord to fight the putties. The putties are the lower level villains. So we fight the putties hand to hand. And then when they escalate, we escalate. So that's the way we do it.
We try to be fair.
Yeah, we're not bullies.
It's all about fair fighting.
There you go.
It's all about reaching the boss level. Gotta get to that boss level.
It's a bit more epic that way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so well, thanks for that.
Otherwise, the show would be over in 3 minutes instead of 22 minutes.
We gotta get the kids all riled up too. Like, we gotta make sure they're jumping off their parents' sofas and stuff. And then we'll get a letter about them, tearing up the house.
I was a very intuitive child, because my next question is, how much budget did Angel City Grove have for property damage for such a small town? The property market must have sucked.
And the construction team was amazing.
Right, the best job in Angel Grove is a construction worker, because every day you gotta fix the city.
Every day.
Yeah.
No.
And they did it within a week, which was great.
Yeah.
In a flash, right?
The show was here. It was on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Well, in America, the show was on Monday through Saturday, so they had to do it every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Do you want to hear a few more? I was very inquisitive as a child.
I like this.
Yeah. Why didn't Rita attack any other city in the world? Why did she always go to where you guys were?
Say it again, what
So
happened?
why did Rita always attack where she knew you guys were when there's a whole globe? She's on the moon, it literally rotates around, and she could have had a pick of anywhere, but she always went, those guys beat me every single week, let's go back there.
Apparently Rita likes a challenge.
Yeah, didn't work well for her.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like, you know how like Stranger Things, how they opened up, you know, the upside down in that city. So it's like that's where it's at. We opened up her what is that? That dome she was in or what? Yeah, we opened. So now this is where it's at. You know. She knew we were ready to get the party started, so she came for it every time. She asked for it. We had to deliver.
We were the teenagers with attitude, so she's like, go right there, get them.
Are you ready for some more random? Okay. So, did anyone ever question why 5 random kids stuck around every time monsters appeared? Did people not just question, like everyone's run away screaming, you're like, yes, let's go. And then all of a sudden 5 Power Rangers appear instantly. Did that not draw any questions?
No, I'm sure it was rather curious. I kind of wondered how come they didn't know it was us. I was always wearing black, Tommy was always wearing green, Amy Jo was always wearing pink. So yeah, I mean, it seems like they would have figured it out, but they didn't apparently.
Yeah, it was a low street smarts in Angel Grove.
Not a lot of detective work.
Not a lot of detectives.
Now,
We have Buck and Skull as detectives, and so, you know.
Now, funny you mentioned about clothing, because my next question is, how long did it take your characters to go shopping to find specific coloured clothing, and was that a rule set by Zordon?
I think so. Papa Z made us do it. Papa Z made us do it.
Yeah. He's like, Zach, you will wear black. I'm like,
Only.
I'll do it. But actually, Zach got to wear all kinds of colors. Black was just an accent color for Zach. So I got to wear any color I wanted to as long as there was some black attached, which I was happy about.
Yeah. I remember going into the dressing, or like the wardrobe room, and everything would be white. And then I'd come back an hour later and everything was yellow. Because they'd have to, you know, there's not a lot of yellow clothes, so they'd have to dye all the white clothes yellow. So that's how.
That's true. That's
yeah,
right. They did
yeah.
do that. They did dye a lot of your clothes. I just thought it would have been funny because there was we did the transition from Mighty Morphin to Zeo, and I went from red to blue. It would have been great if they would have been some kind of line where I'm like, gosh, now I got to get a whole new wardrobe. But I just ended up with a whole new wardrobe anyway. I was wearing blue. Like, where did all that clothes come from?
That would have been nice to wear.
I know my family could not afford that.
I would love it if one day you went, you know what? I'm going to wear yellow today. Let's mess with them.
Yeah,
That would have been amazing.
that would have been funny.
Okay, final one, and I'll stop these random questions. This is helped my childhood, by the way. This is therapy. Do you think there was ever a time someone forgot their morpher and had to run back to their house or locker to then become one of the Rangers?
Probably. I used to always go, where did we get them? Like we would pull them out of our butt or something. Like it was like, all we would do is reach
Yeah,
behind.
we always reached back.
And so I was like, where were they prior to? Because you didn't see us like walking, like you saw the back of us, you didn't see a morpher back there. So that's,
Where did the
that's
colour
the real
from?
mystery.
The morphers morphed into our hands. We hit the position, it morphs there, and boom, we're ready. That's what
That's a good answer. That works. It's better than the other place it could have came from. But no, let's go serious for a second. Obviously, Power Rangers, huge legacy, but let's go back to the beginning. Sorry to say this, 3 decades ago. Obviously, some of you started from the beginning, some came in later on. Obviously, from the beginning, how did they pitch the idea of Power Rangers to you? Where it says, right, so we want you to fight these weird monsters, and then you're gonna change into a costume, then you're gonna change this massive robot and smash it. Like, how was this opportunity pitched to you, and how did you react when this role came over? I'll jump to maybe you first.
Well, it didn't actually work that way. We were cast, and actually in the beginning, the name of the show is called Phantoms. It was Phantoms. So when I first got the script, it was Phantoms. I remember reading the script, and I couldn't picture how it was going to work out. It's like, okay, so I morph. I don't know what that means. And you know, I got a Megazord. What is a Megazord? You know, I didn't know anything about the show. I didn't know what the costume was going to look like or anything. And then when we did the pilot, you know, we did the pilot. Once we morph into our suits, then it's Japanese footage. So we didn't know until we saw it. We're like, oh, that's what they mean by Morphin. That's how we morph into our Megazord. That's what a Megazord is, you know. I knew it was a mastodon, but I had no idea how it would all be put together. So,
actually, that was a question that I had too. Like, did they already like know that it was going to be called a Megazord while you were reading the script, or did they have a different name for it, or do you remember that at all? Or
I think they were called,
because I know that they didn't know they were going to use the name Power Rangers at first. You know,
right.
they kept changing that and stuff.
It wasn't
they kept changing other things.
That concept later, yeah.
Yeah.
And even the Zords, I think, were called something different in the very beginning.
Yeah. See, I always wondered that too.
Yeah. So it's as we progressed, as we did the first pilot, and we tested it with the network, with Fox, things changed, the writers changed some things. In fact, the first pilot we did, we had a different Yellow Ranger. Her name was Audrey Dubois, and she was a really badass martial artist. And in fact, in the pilots, we almost looked like bullies because she was so tough that, like, I mean, we were martial artists and we weren't taking nothing in the pilot. But then we had to redo it because it was a little too violent. So the second pilot we did, they made it so that we didn't strike at all. The enemies would try to hit us and we would outmaneuver them, and then they would fall, and it was like campy. And then they were like, okay, so we adjusted it and we finally found a happy medium. And that's the way it worked out, yeah.
What about for yourselves?
Well, for me, it's crazy. We came in season 2, and it was obviously a hit show at this point. But I was in high school, and I had never seen it. And I was trying to graduate. And so when I auditioned, it was right after I'd graduated, and I knew nothing about it. And I just remember when I went to the audition, there was a line, like wrapped around the building. I had to wait for hours, right? Me, Johnny, and Steve were all at the same audition in Dallas, Texas. And luckily this guy was in front of me, and he was probably one of the biggest Power Ranger fans I'd ever met. He knew everything about the show, and so he explained it all to me. So when I went in, I had an idea that, like, okay, Kimberly's probably gonna be my best friend, and and I think my monologue talked about us going shopping. Me and Kimberly were going shopping, and it was like something silly like that. So it made sense, friends, but I had no idea what it was, any of it. And I remember that afternoon I went home and I watched an episode because I was like, this is crazy to me. It just sounds insane.
What am I auditioning for?
Right. What am I auditioning for? And so luckily I'd watched that one episode, and when they flew us to LA to audition for the producers, I had a better idea of what they wanted. And I just kind of adapted my dance routine and put some kicks and some punches in there, and luckily they thought I was good enough to hang with these guys.
She was very good. I saw her audition. It was amazing.
He was very good too. Like him, Johnny.
I don't know why they didn't do more dance stuff with you after that. That's what they hired you for. You were like so good.
Yeah, I was like dancing and rolling on the floor, and these guys were like flipping in the air, and I was just like, what the hell is this? It was crazy. But they instantly put us together as a team, and we auditioned, and we got to see each other's audition, and I was like, if we don't get it, if they don't get it, I don't know what they want. And so luckily we got it.
So it wasn't your dance moves that got you the part then?
No. No, I was familiar with the show though, because I was a martial artist before, and I used to teach kids. I had this kids class program that I would run, and the kids were talking about the show Power Rangers. I'm like, let me see what this show is about. I better investigate. So I started watching the show, and I got into it, and I used to watch it like every day. And every day I would watch you guys do your stuff, and I would go, I could do that. I could do that. Never knowing or dreaming that I'd ever get an opportunity to do it. And all of a sudden they had this commercial on the radio that said, we're looking for new Power Rangers, come down to the local TV station and audition. And I was like, well, I guess I'll give it a go, see what happened. When I got there were like 5,000 people in the parking lot. I was like, oh gosh, there's no way. They're never gonna pick me. And little do I know, like 2 days later, they call us up. They're like, hey, we want to fly you to California to meet the producers. I'm like, wow, this could be real.
Right. And because we were all from Dallas, we were all at the airport together, and so we got to know each other.
Yeah,
and
we were all on the same plane together and the whole thing. And then they flew out us right from the airport. They picked us up right from the airport and brought us right to Saban's executive offices, and we auditioned right there in their boardroom.
And that day, they were like, you, and you got the part. We're like, ah!
Well, actually, it was a little bit different than that. They tricked us because they said, no, okay, you three, you guys, out of everyone, we picked you guys to do it. And then I was like, oh, that means we get the part. They go, no, you got to come back and audition against the people from California tomorrow. And I'm like, what? So then we had to come back the next day.
I didn't do it.
No, we were all there. Yeah, yes, because I said to them, hey, if we don't get the part, could we at least meet the Power Rangers to kind of commemorate this experience?
See, I don't even remember that. I put it out of my head.
And that's when now the lawyers were like, no, you're not going to get to meet the Power Rangers because you are the new Power Rangers. Remember? And that's when they said it to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. But what was sad was the people who didn't get the part were also in the room with us. So while we were happy and crying and hugging, we heard other people crying, and we were like, and they literally told us in front of them, and they were like, they didn't get it, and we got it. We were like, we're so sorry.
It's literally like you didn't get the rose from The Bachelor. Like you didn't get the rose.
We should have known then. That was a red flag moment. Something was not going to be right.
I mean, you've got a group of people that know martial arts and fighting skills. You put them all in a room and just said, you guys don't have a job. That sounds really dangerous. That could have went wrong.
Right.
But I have watched many of your panels in the past and heard lots of stories, and I have to bring this up just for some of our UK. But I heard the Power Ranger suits were very interesting for you guys to wear, and what you kind of had to put up with wearing them. Any interesting stories you'd like to share about those?
Well, I'll just say that you have to have help to get in and out of the suit. It is not something you can just put on by yourself. The zipper starts down here and goes all the way up to the back, and my arms don't go that far. I was like, yeah. So if you have to go to the bathroom, I'll just say you need help.
You need a special friend that you know might go into the toilet with you.
And plan ahead. Don't wait till the last minute to go to the bathroom.
And also, coincidentally, you also had to wear another layer of spandex under the spandex because otherwise everybody's going to see silhouettes that they should not be seeing.
Right. So, they had to hide all the bits.
So it would never just, you never just saw the spandex. Like we had to have a whole nother layer underneath. So that became very warm. That's very hot.
What's funny is
that spandex and don't breathe.
That's not the way it started.
Oh, okay, come on, continue.
When we first got
X-rated.
When we first got the suits, and there was a lot of trial and error. So, we would put on the suits, and if you wore your regular underwear, then it was quite sightly. It's like So
Power Rangers After Dark.
Exactly. We had to start wearing like dance belts, kind of thing. Like something so that everything was. When you dance ballet, you wear a dance belt, kind of thing, to make sure everything's put together right. And that was a work in progress. When we first wore the suits, we only wore the suits, and we had to figure out what underwear to wear underneath.
Right.
It was different. And I'll tell you this: the spandex, when we go to the set, often we had to go on the scene we shot on a location. We get there early in the morning, maybe sometimes 6:30 in the morning. Go through makeup and hair. We put on our suits, and then they take us to the field where we do our blocking for the fights or whatever. And it's the grass is wet, and it's cold in the morning, and the air goes right through the suits. It's so cold. It is so uncomfortable, and then you get wet, practicing or whatever. Well, we would rehearse in our regular clothes, then we put on the suits, block for camera, and then we have to shoot. But sometimes it would take an hour or two later. Now the sun is out and it's hot, and I'm wearing black, and black in the sun is not a happy occasion. It's not a happy occasion. Now, granted, I didn't have to wear the suits all the time, usually for transitional things, but still, even in my jeans or whatever I might be wearing, that morning grass, it was very cold.
Yeah, very slippery too. Yeah, and then as far as the movie went, those suits were just torture devices. Like, they were heavy. They were wasn't it like latex? Like, it was like...
Oh, the movie ones you're talking about? Yeah, they were made out of rubber or something.
Yeah, and the muscles were rubber, so they were at least 25 to 30 pounds, depending on how tall you were. So you were just carrying, you were working out all day without working out. So yeah, it was insane.
I suppose the robes in the second part of the film were much comfier.
They were, but it was like the wardrobe department, they made them so cool, but they weren't practical. We actually had on the ninja shoes, which were very uncomfortable because it splits your toe. And then it just had like a lot of different pieces, but it was a lot more comfortable, felt like pajamas, but you still needed someone to help you get dressed.
Yeah, there was a lot of layers to that thing as well. Yeah.
Oh, look cool though.
It did.
Yeah, it looked cool.
You
Suffer
did
for the
look
look.
cool. Like, let's be fair, we all wanted to dress as Power Rangers when we were younger. And now, by looking at... Any Power Rangers in the house right now?
There they are. I see them all. I see them.
Who's wearing a dance belt, though?
Who's wearing a dance belt?
He's wearing the Zeo one,
The
man.
spandex,
That's right.
Yeah.
yes.
Tell some of those Spider-Men I've seen this weekend about those. And now, what I want to do is I want to ask one more question, but while I'm doing that, if anyone has fan questions, can we start lining up so we can jump straight into you guys? So while they're getting ready, are there any embarrassing stories or like something that sticks out in your mind from when you are filming that you'd like to talk about? Embarrassing with your cast members, your friends? Is there anything that stands out? I'm sure there'll be something.
I ran to a stunt guy. We had an amazing stunt team. Our stunt guys were amazing. They really were a big part of the show and helping us to look as good as we did. But I ran to a guy recently that I had met who had come into the show as a stuntman. And when you work with the stunt guys, we don't want to hurt each other. So we try to be soft. We try to make contact, but it's like soft contact with it, making it look like it's effective. This particular stuntman had come onto the show and he had been watching the show and he wanted to make an impression. So when he met me, we were going to fight and I had to do this side kick. And he's like, no, when you kick me, I want you to really kick me. I was like, nah, man, I can just tap you. And he's like, no, give me the kick, give me the kick. And I'm like, right, okay. You know, it was like he really wanted it. And so I had to do this, we're doing a martial art thing and then we're shooting and I give him a good kick to the chest and he goes flying in the air, falls down, and I guess I didn't know until I just saw him recently. He said, that kick, I was messed up for a week. I was like, I didn't know. He's like, I told you to do it. I was like, man, I don't want to kick you. But he's like, do it. I can take it. I'm a stunt guy. You know. He was like, as an adult, he's like, yeah, I should have told you that.
He's learned a life lesson. From then on, he never said, kick me from. He's like, just tap me, just tap me.
That's funny because the same thing happened to JDF on the movie. Remember that one guy? So there was an Australian stunt guy, and there was the scene where the bird Tengu warrior guys were flying in. They had him flying in on these wires. And so they would fly down on the wires and they would land, and there was supposed to be a scene where Jay kicks one of them, and then he kept saying the same thing. He's like, man, kick me. He's like, and Jason was like, I don't want to do it. He goes, no, do it. He goes, you really need to kick me. And Jason goes, okay. And so then he did this. So he's hanging on the, remember, they're coming in on these wires. They're coming on these wires, so then Jason does like just the fastest like jump spinning kick, like hits the guy, and then everything, like the camera keeps going over, and like the whole scene keeps going, and then they'll cut, and everybody walks away, and the guy's still just hanging from the wires like that.
We were dying. I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that, right? Oh my God.
And Jason's like, he said for me to kick him. He said. And he was just like, hey,
We all witnessed it.
bird.
He said, no, kick me hard, man, kick me hard. And I was like, okay.
This guy really knows karate. You don't want
Like,
this.
really not a good idea.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was just picturing like he comes down the wire, gets kicked, and then somehow he goes back up in the same direction, back on the wire. It's like, reset!
Yeah.
That's
Funny just to
awesome.
see the guy hanging like this.
He's like the dead bird on the wire.
See, nowadays we have lots of behind the scenes footage, whereas back then you wouldn't have got that, because that would have been brilliant footage to see. That guy's probably very thankful. Right, let's jump to fan questions for the last 15. Now, I need to ask you guys a favour. If you are in the line, can you look behind you right now? There are a lot of people in the line with you. I know Power Rangers has had a huge impact on all of your lives. We've all grew up with Power Rangers. We love it. But let's be respectful to everybody in the queue. Can we just keep it to name and question, please? Can we do that? Yeah, brilliant. Right, we're going to jump to my left here. Name and question, please.
My name is Reese. How would you describe Power Rangers in one word?
More phenomenal.
Ooh, good word.
He's had that question before.
He summed it up. I can't
That's
even
it,
answer
that's
that one.
it.
I can't even compete with that one. It's good.
Thank you very much. Brilliant questions. Strictly. Yes. Right, other side here. Thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Matthew. The actor who played Ernie, I forget the...
Rich Janelli.
Wonderful. I never hear questions about him. So, a memory, a story, and...
Oh man, so many good memories.
He was
Yeah.
awesome.
I loved him
He
so
was the
much.
nicest guy ever. Like,
Yeah.
family man, Italian guy, funny. Like, he was like a comedian.
He was a stand-up comedian. So when he would come and do our show, but he basically just did our show for fun. It wasn't like it was, his thing. He had his whole stand-up comedy thing where he would tour with that. He also owned the bum equipment. Remember the company Bum Equipment? He owned the export for all of that as well too. So he had like a full business. But he would come and to set, and he was just so fun. He would always bring the comedy CDs, and we would listen to them and stuff. So yeah, he was great.
Yeah, he was awesome. Richard Gianelli, I remember. He had a cabin up in Big Bear, and he would often invite me to go up, and I'll go up to the cabin and go up there and go snowboarding. It was a really
Oh man, that sounds so much fun.
I know. We lost him early on, and it's always like sad because he would have loved this. He would have loved meeting all of you.
He would have loved all of them.
Yeah, he would have loved coming to Comic-Con.
He would have been funny too.
Yeah, I remember though, because he was so big. We were in Australia with the movie, and we had a day off, and we were walking around, and we were just walking around the whole city. And finally he goes, "What's up with all this walking shit?" He was just like this New York attitude kind of guy, So he was very brash.
He's definitely a New Yorker. He was like, "Hey, I'm Richard Gianelli." He talked like that. It's like his family's from the mafioso. He was like, hey, like.
And then he'd be on Power Rangers and be like this clean-cut guy.
That was
Good
a
question.
brilliant
Great
question.
Great question.
Thank you very much. We'll jump to the other side here, in red.
Hello guys, my name is Chris. With so much love for the show and obviously all the nostalgia going on, how was it to be a part of Once and Always?
I'm going to do something very quickly, 2 seconds.
We can barely hear you, Chris. We gotta hear you.
Nothing to see here, nothing to worry about. There we go, try again.
With all the love for the show and obviously with nostalgia being a real thing, how was it to be a part from your perspective of Once and Always?
Once and Always was, for me, it was a great, thank you, and it was a great pleasure to be back. It was the first time I was back on the show in 28 years. 28 is a long time. And so to go back, for me, when I left the show, I didn't leave the show expecting to leave the show. I expected to negotiate a contract, come back, continue to do the movie, do more episodes, and then eventually leave the show. But that's not the way it worked out. So it was closure for me. So I got to go, when we did the movie, my last day on the set, they said, okay, that's a wrap for Walter Jones. And it was the first time I got a rap on
that's right.
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So it brought tears to my eyes.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It was,
Yeah,
special.
that was good. You deserve that.
It gives me feelings. I got feelings.
Yeah. No, it was a pleasure for me to come back because it was a love letter to Trini, and I just was always like, she got the party started, and I've always had so much love for her and her character, and I felt like I literally stepped into her shoes. Like I had her same costume, I wore the same boots, I had to wear 2 socks because her foot was half a size bigger than mine, and it was like, it was an honor. Like I remember there was a moment where Johnny and I weren't gonna come, like they weren't gonna bring us to New Zealand, and I told them no. And they were like, what do you mean no? And I go, no. I go, we gotta go, we need to go. This is bigger, for me it's bigger than anything, and I feel like we need to be there. And I kind of fought them on it, but luckily they accepted everything I wanted, and they were like, come on, and I was so happy to do it.
Good, yeah. Yeah, for me it was great. It was the first time ever being on camera with Walter, that was awesome. And stepping onto that juice bar set, it looked exactly the same. I was like, the nostalgia hit us at that point. I was like, wow, this is amazing to recreate that whole entire.
They did such a good job.
And then we did that putty fight scene, and then
the
we were
putty fight,
together.
awesome.
That was awesome.
I'll tell you, for me, coming back to the show 28 years later, and then stepping on the set, and then walking onto the command center. I was like, wow, this has been a long time since I've been here. And it was different because now we had a tube where Zordon was. And on the set, when we originally shot, we didn't have a tube for Zordon. That was CGI. In fact, what we did was we talked to a piece of tape on a
Post-it note.
Right? It was like we didn't have anything to look at. We're talking to, we had the script supervisor, her name was Jenny, in a female voice reading Zordon's lines. So it was like, Rangers, Rita's attacking.
And it would be so unemotional. Like we were like crying and she'd be like, nothing.
And it's like, so it was wild to be back and to walk onto that set and look around. Same thing for the juice bar, but the command center, you know, Zordon, the whole thing was like, that was really intense.
It was very cool.
Yeah, and then it became even more beautiful because it became a love letter to JDF. Because when we were shooting it, he was still with us. And so I just remember Netflix set up a private screening for all of us to see it together. And it was so like, we didn't know how they were gonna do, you know, how they were gonna honor him. And so that ending was a surprise for us too. And it was
awesome.
so beautiful.
And that song we had sang to him when he was losing his Green Ranger powers. So the song was very appropriate. I know also, I lost my thought. I was like, hey,
That was a good question.
It was
Very
that
good
good.
question. Good question.
Great question.
Brilliant, thank you very much. We'll jump to the other side to Red Ranger here.
Red Ranger.
Yeah, I'm Robert. So, how long do you spend in the Ranger suits in a day?
It varies because we would shoot 4 episodes every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, well, we would have a day on location. Let's say we were shooting the juice bar. We would shoot scenes for the juice bar for all 4 scripts in one day. So we would switch outfits. Sometimes you didn't know what you were wearing. Like the wardrobe person would tell you, "Oh, this is what you were wearing in this episode," and we had to ask the script supervisor, "So wait, what's going on? Like, who are we fighting? Like, what's going on?" Yeah. So it was interesting.
It was very confusing for sure.
Well, and that's also why, like, when you guys ask us about, like, sometimes we get these really detailed questions about an episode. I have no idea because in my mind, we shot all of that together, so I don't even really know how it all came together. Like, you know, and I never would really watch the episode. I was like, oh, I was there.
Yeah,
but it's like, it's confusing.
Yeah, we
didn't really have time to watch the episode.
No, we didn't have any time.
And then you had to, if we want to record, we didn't get it. They didn't give us the episode.
Right.
So we'd have to watch it either during lunch, later, or you have to record on a VHS at home. And I live with 4 guys, so I would put in the tape for the VHS, and I would come home and want to see the episode, and somebody taped the football game over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the old days, guys, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have DVR. We were struggling back in the day.
The struggle was real.
I mean, I wouldn't have messed with you if you'd taped over that. I'd be like, nope, sorry, never do it again. No chance.
Good question.
Brilliant, thank you very much. We'll jump to the other side here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Raj. I just want to ask each of you, do you have a favorite episode that you were a part of?
Happy birthday, Zach.
That was a good one.
It was the first episode that ever had my name in the title. So I was like, this is my episode. This is so cool. I was very excited about that.
Yeah, there was a couple different ones. Zia was my favorite season personally to work on, and there was an episode about Adam called "It Came from Angel Grove," and it was like a Halloween episode, and they put me in all this werewolf makeup, and I chased him through the forest. That was a pretty fun one.
That's cool. It changes, so I might say something different tomorrow, but today it's the Hate Master, where Aisha got to save the day that time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Other side here, a Black Power Ranger.
Black Ranger, what's up,
My name is Precious. I have a question for all of you. I'd like you to expand your answers in different ways. So the question is, Karen and Steve, what was it like coming to the franchise as the second Rangers of your colours? Steve specifically, like you said you'd watched it. Did it seem like big shoes for you to fill in, knowing what you were getting into? Karen, you said you hadn't watched it apart from that one episode, but did you have any like reservations or like were you nervous seeing like Trini's like character afterwards, and like, you know, trying like, I guess she had, as you said, left big shoes to fill, literally. May she rest in peace. So like, how was that for you? And also knowing that now your legacy is like the first black female Power Ranger, and Walter, as the first Black Ranger in every sense of the word. I'm leaving the show earlier than you wanted. What is it like being the first and one of the most memorable, and knowing the impact it's had on black kids and adults 30 years on?
And you can have my job next con, because that's a good question.
Good job. Oh, okay.
You can go
yeah,
first.
right. I feel like I'm gonna leave their question. I'll answer mine first, then because that really seems more prominent. So for me, I didn't even know what ranger I was gonna be. I didn't even know we were auditioning to actually be rangers. I just thought they were like augmenting the cast, and I didn't even know what color I was supposed to be. We went into wardrobe to get fitted, and Danielle and the wardrobe people were like, "Which color are you supposed to be?" And I looked at Johnny. I was like, "I don't know." Johnny looked at me. I don't know. They had to run upstairs to the office and go find out who was going to be who. And then I was like, "Please let me be red. Please let me be red." And we came back down. They said, "You're red. You're black." I was like, "Yes." That was it, you know. But then I was like, all of a sudden, it hit me. Oh gosh, now I'm replacing somebody who was probably like one of the most popular characters on the show. And, you know, I think it was probably better that I didn't know at first, because it might have messed up my audition, you know? So, anyway.
Yeah, no, totally. They didn't tell us we thought we were joining the cast. Like, that's kind of how they pitched it to everybody there, because it was a secret that they had left. And so, we had no idea. So, of course, when we get the part, and they're like, "You're gonna do this," and we're like, "Okay, yeah. It wasn't until later that we found out that they had left the show. And I mean, we were literally like, okay, wait a minute. This is like the #1 kids show in the world. These three are very popular. And I remember Johnny and I having a conversation about it. And we were I'm not gonna lie, we were nervous about it. And we were just like, oh my gosh, like, do you think the kids will like us? You know, I mean, it was big shoes to fill. But also, in that moment, I had thought about it, and I was like, this is the moment you've been waiting for. This is, you wanted to be on TV, you wanted to do a movie. This is the moment you have been waiting for. So either you're gonna get in your head and mess it up, or you're gonna be excited. And I decided to just be excited about it. And I remember one of the producers talking to me, and he goes, "Have you seen the show?" And I said, "I saw one episode." He goes, "Don't do that again. Never watch another episode." Right, we need Aisha to be completely different than Trini. And I was like, perfect, because there's no way I could be Trini. There's just no way. I want Aisha to be sassy. I want her to be, you know, bold and just strong, you know? And I was like, perfect, so we can do our own thing. And they really encouraged us to do our own thing. And that was one of the things they'd asked me, like, early on, they wanted me to do all these dance moves, and I said, well, you said you didn't want me to be like Trini. Why are you trying to make me be like Zach? I think I should create my own thing. And they were like, you're right, do your thing. And so it wasn't that, I would have loved to add more dance in there or do something, but he had that down. Like, I mean, hip hop keto, come on. I could not touch that, you know? And so we just did our own thing, but it was for a moment, very intimidating. But I was like, nope, this is your moment. You better rise to the occasion.
In regard to when we were doing the show, after we started filming, I remember sitting next to Austin, and I was talking to him. I said, I think I might be the first black superhero on live action TV. Well, I didn't say live action TV, but I was like, TV.
You totally said it like that, and you should have.
And I was like, because I thought there's nobody I could think of that had come out as a superhero. Funny enough, though, Robert Townsend, 2 weeks before the show aired, we'd already shot 20 episodes, but 2 weeks before Power Rangers aired, Robert Townsend had a movie air called Meteor Man.
Meteor Man.
So he was the first black superhero in a movie, but on a live action TV show, I was the first black superhero. And I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, predominantly black city. What up? Anyway, so I was really proud. I was like, okay, this is going to give a lot of people somebody to look at and believe in, like to go, that's me. You know, I think representation really matters. And at this point, it's been 32 years later, and I've met so many people around the world who come to me and that regularly go, I was you. You gave me, because I saw you, I believe I could be that. So I find it to be just the greatest pleasure to be able to make that kind of a difference in the world, and I'm honored.
Yeah, it was
And she was also the first black
black female. But what I mean, like we've had people crying to us because I mean it's like one of those things where the show was so ahead of its time, and it's so strange that 32 years later the world still really hasn't caught up to that. Like you can imagine a dragon flying through the air, you can imagine magic and this and that, but you can't imagine people of color being superheroes. So for me to have been a part of that, and for all of you to have been able to see us and see yourself in us, I just think that is beyond, beyond, beyond. That's the greatest gift.
Yep, greatest gift.
Holla. Amazing. Now, I know my timer's saying 0, but I'm sorry, I have to finish with this guy, and I'm going to move the microphone. And this will be the last fan question. I'm so sorry everyone for the time.
Sorry, guys.
But there we go. We're finishing with this guy here. It is happening. Sorry. What's your question? I'll have to do this very quick. What was your funniest moment on set?
Jason Frank is also, he was a very funny guy and a bit of a wild man. We had an episode where we had to ride these ATVs, and so they had taken us out in the parking lot. None of us had ridden ATVs before, and we were, we had PAs to tell us to be careful. Only go 15 miles an hour in the parking lot, take the curves soft. And so Austin and I are out there like, vroom, vroom, around the parking lot. And then Jason comes out, and he jumps on the ATV and goes, vroom, vroom, yeah, and jumps across out of the parking lot into like the wooden area, and we're watching him ride around through the bushes, and we see him go up a hill, and he just disappears. And we're like, oh my God, he just killed himself. What do you do? And we don't hear anything for a minute, and we're like, oh my, we're worried about him. All of a sudden he comes out, and he's like, vroom, and we're like, and me and Austin look at each other and go, yeah! So next thing you know, we got all three of us riding around crazy and
putting the go-go and go-go Power Rangers.
And then when we did the episode, we actually really looked good, because now we really knew how to ride, so that was awesome.
We had tons of fun. I mean, we were kids. We were so, we probably should not have been able to do anything like that. And we came to Australia to shoot the movie. We were I remember I was 18, Johnny was 18, you were what, 20? Yeah, so we were underage in America, but we were legal in Australia. And so it was like the training wheels were off. We were out of control.
Yeah, basically. I have seized all the moments that you could. For somebody out of the country for the first time.
Oh, it was
on
everything.
Vacation where the legal age was you were able to drink. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have.
We could drink, we could gamble, we could just everything. Go to all the clubs. It was the best thing ever.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Elijah. Brilliant question to finish on. Thank you very much. Thank you to all our fan questions. We're over time, but I'll get wrong later. Very quickly. Thank you so much, guys, for everything you've done over the years, interacting with the fans, being so supportive, coming to see us. We love you guys. We appreciate what you do. We really do. So first of all, thank you guys for that.
Thank you.
And thank you guys too.
We have the best fans in the world. We want to say thank you for supporting us for so long, and we hope to bring you much more entertainment.
And there's 2 more hours left of con. You'll be across an autograph, so if you didn't get a chance to ask your question or want to come meet these guys, you can see they are lovely, they are absolutely amazing, they are here to meet you. Please take that opportunity, but ladies and gentlemen, let's make lots of noise for our amazing Power Rangers!
Thank you guys. MCM, once again, make some noise for your Power Rangers!
Thank you very much for taking time to watch the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers panel with Steve, Water, and Karen. Hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. If you like my channel, please do subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Make sure you look after yourself. Very important these days. Thank you to everybody that subscribed to my channel already. Really appreciate you folks a great deal. Make sure you look after yourself. And as always, embrace geekiness. Take care. Goodbye.